Hello! I want to show you how to make speed lines. These are lines that denote speed, basically. That's why they're called speed lines. They either go from top to bottom or from left to right. And they're a sort of an animation trick to sort of help that idea of speed. So you might have a I mean, in this particular example, you might have like a spaceman. One of the first animations I did that was very well received actually was this sort of this astronaut spaceman thing, and it looked like he was sort of flying up into space. And I put these speed lines behind, and it was a real revelation to me. And it was quite difficult to do because I had to use various plugins like the Draw SVG plugin, and I had to call the tweens every single time in order to create random motion, and we're not going to do that today, and I'm going to show you how to do it in a very small amount of code using the new Greensock 3.0 or 3.2 I think it is now. So if I just have a look in here, we've got 3.2. You can get that from, let me just get rid of that for a sec. So in Codepen, you can open up your JavaScript panel and you can just start typing GSAP and it will come up with the latest Greensock library. So we're going to put that in there. That's all we need. And I'm going to show you various before you'd have to do all sorts of sequenced animations. We want it to be random because speed lines are random, and you would have to create a function and then you would have to keep calling that when the animation finished, and it wasn't very it was a bit messy. Now I'm going to show you how to do it in one tween. So that's cool. Right, so first of all, we want to start with, so this is just a quick overview. This is an SVG, an empty SVG, and I'm basically telling it to be 100% width and 100% height. And it's got a view box of 600 by 600, which means it's square. So when I move this, it'll scale up and down, maintaining its aspect ratio. Okay. So, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a group of lines which will animate. So I'm going to sort of just code this directly, and we'll call this speed lines. So this is a class. Doesn't have to be a class, but I tend to use classes. And we'll, oops, what am I doing? Close that, and then inside we're going to create a line and give it x1. That's the point that it starts of 0, because we're going to animate these. So I'm just like everything referenced at 0, 0. Y1 at 0, x2 is 0, and its y2 is 0. As I said, we're going to animate these. So as long as the properties are declared inside each of the lines, then we can animate them. Sometimes JavaScript can be a bit funny, or SVG can be a bit funny if you're trying to animate a property that hasn't been explicitly written out. Okay, so that's that. We may as well just style it in here. So all lines are going to be a stroke width of, I don't know, 2 pixels. Okay, and because we want lots of them, I'm going to copy that and paste it. Oops. There is actually a shortcut. I think it's in Windows it's Control-Shift-D, Control-Shift-D, Control-Shift-D. And that creates a whole load of them. Now obviously we can't see them yet because they are starting at 0 and ending at 0, so you can't see anything yet. All right. I want these to be multicolored lines so that you can see them, but speed lines would tend to be sort of shades of the similar color. But in order for them to be sort of nice and visible, we're going to create an array of colors, and then we're going to apply all those colors to the lines. So we're going to call this in JavaScript. We're going to call color array equals, and we'll just use the sort of hard code, the name colors. Pink, yellow, I think is one. Blue is definitely one. Green is one. Red is one. Orange is one. Oops. What else is? I think violet is one. Oh, I've done that again. I think orange is one. So now we can start animating, and so we're going to start doing this with one tween, and it's going to be a from to, and it's going to be a looping from to. So we need to talk to the speed lines. That's the class that it's in, and it's every single line inside. Now in old version, in the 2.x versions of Greensock, you would put in the duration there. We don't do that anymore. We open up, this is the from object and comma, and this is the to object. Let's just return that and then go back up here and return that. And so now we have from here and to here. So we're going to be going from, well, first of all, we want to set the height of each individual sort of speed line, and we can target the attributes. It's the y1 and y2 attributes. So this will determine, and we can use that using the attribute, and so we can say y1 is going to be well, that can always be at 0, and the y2, which is how far along it's drawn. Now there are, as I said earlier, there are helper functions, these new helper functions, and there are other new sort of functions in 3.x that allow you to do things like random functions, and one of those is the string random, and you can, and we want each strand to be between 20 maybe and 200, and that therefore each speed line will be a random of 20 pixels and between 20 pixels and 100 and 200 pixels, and so that's sorted out the length of each one. We want each speed line to be a random number across, so we can say, again, we can use the random string, and that's, you notice that it's 600 wide, so we're going to say it's between 0 and 600. And we want each one to start, like the entire speed line, to start at a y of minus 200. That ensures that if you do happen to have one that is 200 long, it starts off the screen, so you don't see the tip of it poking out. And oh yes, we want to ensure that each one has a different color. So remember, just don't forget, this is the start. This is the start tween, so this is what we want them to start off at. Now, this is a sort of a reduced helper function. It just does a random thing, and it can be executed every time, and it can create new numbers every time it's executed. Similarly, we have various helper functions, and the one I spoke about earlier is this wrap function, and we can call it like this. So it's it's a utility.utils.wrap, and we can pass in the color array, and that what that'll do is it will iterate through each of the lines and assign a color to it, and if there are more lines than entries in the array, so the first one will be pink, second yellow, third blue, fourth green, etc., etc. If there are more than there are numbers in the array, it will just wrap back to pink. So you end up being able to reuse all of these colors. You can apply, you know, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you had 16 elements, each one would, you know, there'd be 2 pink ones, 2 yellow ones, 2 blue ones, etc. Because it would apply, it would set these to the first 8, and then it would wrap back, and for the second 8, it would apply them in that order again. Okay, and just to show that they are actually there, if I just get rid of that, they should all appear here, and there they are. But because we want them to start off screen, we're going to do that. So that's what we're doing them from. The next thing we want to do is we want to, well, let's set their duration. Now remember I said that you used to be able to put the duration there. I think you still can, but I think it's good practice to learn the new syntax. So we can say duration. And again, I love everything to be random. This is going to be a random number, so how long they take to go from there to the bottom is between 0.2 seconds maybe and 1 second. Excuse me. Okay. And we want them, their Y position, to go to 600, which is off the bottom. So now you should see them all going down. Now you'll notice as they go down, they slow down ever so slightly, and that's because if you don't assign an ease, a default ease is assigned for you, and I think it's something like power1.ease out or something like that. But we want these speed lines to move at a constant rate, which means we can use the ease none. This is another thing that's changed in GSAP 3.0. Before you would do something like linear.ease none or something like that, or I think power0.ease none or none or something like that. But now there are a lot shorter ways of doing it, and no ease is ease none, and it's a string. So now they travel from the top to the bottom. But they all travel, so there's a few things that are wrong. First of all, they're not looping. And secondly, they all animate at the same time. And we can fix that by using stagger. So we're going to do a stagger, and we can open it up here. Now, stagger can either take one value, and this is basically saying, tell each one to play 0.2 seconds after the last one. So the first one plays, then 0.2 seconds later the second one plays, 0.2 seconds later the third one plays, etc, etc. But this isn't very flexible, and so what you can do is you can open up an object and you can say each one is 0.2 seconds. But because you've opened up that object, it means there are other properties as well. And the other one, the important one here, is repeat. Now, we don't want it to repeat once or twice. We want it to repeat indefinitely or infinitely. And we can say that by saying -1. So we should now start seeing the animation taking shape, which is pretty good. Now, this is fine. But you'll notice, see this yellow one here, it's always there. It never moves, it never changes. We're not managing to trigger this random code here. Yes, it executes on the first time this tween is called, but then let's say this one is about 590. It stays at 590 unless you use a new function which is brilliant called repeat refresh. Now I'm hoping, I've had a few, a repeat refresh is true. And now you can see that they're all changing their X position. So this is being executed every time this tween executes or repeats. It executes this again and refreshes that random. So now you're getting random X positions of all of them. Also, you're getting random lengths as well. So you'll notice that sometimes you get a long blue. Let's focus on, I don't know, a yellow one. You'll get little short yellow ones or long yellow ones. You get short blue ones, long blue ones, and that's because this is being executed, refreshed every time it's executed on repeat. And this is pretty much done. What else do we need to do? I mean, I think probably we can. I think they're moving a bit too slowly, so we can change the duration so that they're moving a bit quicker. So we'll do a duration. So a range is between 0.2 and 0.6, and now you're starting to get that a little bit more speed. And you'll notice as well, and I often do this, when it first executes, especially let's make this a bit more obvious. If I set it to 0.6, you'll see that you're getting drips and drips and drips to start with until each one starts looping. You're going to get the first one coming down, second one coming down. You're not immediately being presented with all of them looping. And what we can do is we can assign, or we can type right at the end of this tween. See, it opens here and ends here. We can just say, oh, we want you to seek some value further down, 100 or whatever, and that means it will immediately start in the middle of all of them looping. And there you go. There you have it. You have speed lines that are random on every single loop. They're using. We could have, if you only wanted blue and yellow, you could remove that, and you could remove that, and you've just got blue and yellow now. So you can do these to sort of fit your design. And as I said, it will iterate over those. It'll assign, it'll go blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, no matter how many elements you've got. And there you go. There you have it. That's speed lines in one tween. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.